Hi, this is Ignacio with North Star Senior Advisors. And today I have the pleasure of joining me, April Boykin. April Boykin, she is the owner of Counseling Resource Services. And really quick about us, North Star Senior Advisors, we've been doing senior placement here services in Central Florida for about 6 years now. Feel free to visit our website, northstarsa.com. You'll see videos like these and great resources for the community. We help seniors and families transition into assisted living and memory care options. So April, it's a pleasure to have you here with me today.
Thank you, Ignacio. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so if you don't mind sharing with us a little bit about yourself, your background, your company, maybe the conception of your company and why you do what you do.
So I am a social worker and I have been in Central Florida for almost 30 years. I started Counseling Resource Services 7 years ago because I was doing home health services. And what I found was that patients needed in-home services for mental health, and there was nobody there. There were no places that would come in and provide counseling, emotional support, behavioral management. And so I left home health and I started our service, which is to help people in their homes, in their home setting, whether it's an ALF or it's their private home, to have the services that they need to address mental health issues.
Good. So, myself, I have a home health background, and you're absolutely right. Typically, home health will go in and they'll address the skilled portions, which would be your, nursing, therapy. Social worker will come in, but actual mental health addressed through home health, I don't think I've actually seen that as a service within home health services. So I think the fact that you branched off and started this is a phenomenal resource. I know it's absolutely needed because you go beyond the physical element, right? You got to get past the total knee replacement, getting your strength back, whether it's medication management, but a lot of folks know that mental health itself is absolutely critical, especially now more than ever, right? With everything going on. What are you seeing now with trends around mental health for adults and elderly?
It's really interesting. The trends that we're seeing now for people like me and you and for everybody really is mimicking what we've seen for years and years and years with seniors, that people begin to isolate more. So when you leave a job as a senior, you retire, you move into your retirement age, you are less connected to the community because you're no longer working. So maybe there's less stress in your life, but there are also less people, there are less connections. And that begins that process for many people of isolating. So if someone retires and they're not quick to join different groups or to stay connected in their community, they begin to have that sense of isolation. And for most of us, we're going through that right now, where we're having an imposed or forced isolation that begins to disconnect us from those groups of people that we're used to seeing and connecting with every day. And so that isolation plays havoc for many of us in allowing us to have negative thoughts, allowing us to feel hopeless or disconnected. So one of the trends is we're seeing more isolation. The other thing that we're seeing a lot of is a worsening of symptoms of depression and anxiety or any other mental health condition you may have, because we are having chronic stress. So the stress is not going away. Each day, people are hearing more and more about the threats in the community or the threats across the nation, and they are feeling more and more stress, and they are not finding a way to discharge the stress. So we're seeing that. We're seeing a rise in new cases of depression or new instances of depression and anxiety. So it's the same, but it's on a grander scale than what we typically see.
Yeah, I would say, from what I think I've seen and heard is, if there's already something, an underlying issue, it's definitely been exacerbated, right, with everything that's been going on. And I think one of the things folks will try to do, whether it's a caregiver or the individual themselves, is how to cope with everything going on, reaching out to resources. So what would you say would be maybe some coping techniques or resources out there for folks that are either, whether this is a new onset or maybe this is something that's chronic, that's been exacerbated? What would you say would be some good coping mechanisms?
The first thing I'm going to say is turn off the TV. And the
Yeah.
first thing, got to disconnect from our electronics, whether it's our phones or our computers or our TVs. And not just, get off of Netflix and do something else,
Mhm.
but also turn off the news. The news incites, right? It creates that fight or flight instinct in us because it's alarming. And they do that they get people to watch. And so each news is alarming and they bring you in, and then you get stuck on the couch watching how bad it is over and over and over. And for most of us, we only need about this much to
Mhm.
understand what's really going on, to stay informed. But we inundate ourselves with the TV and the scrolling, tickers of what is wrong. So turn off the news. Don't watch it all day long. Turn
Mhm.
off the TV. The other things are some of those general things we should be doing. A 20-minute walk every day improves our mood, improves our mind, our memory, how our brain functions, improves our heart, improves our sleep. All of those things are really necessary. 20 minutes just going outside. And I'm not saying exercise, because a lot of people who don't have an exercise routine look at that idea of, I can't start exercising. What am I going to do? I don't know how. It's too overwhelming.
Mhm.
Get your body moving for 20 minutes, walk around the block. That will have a significant improvement on everything. Some of the other things are making sure you're sleeping. You really need to make sure that you put that effort in, because your brain heals your emotion, heals your body, heals everything while you sleep. So sleep, movement, making sure that you're eating, making sure that you have some kind of built-in routine. It's real easy when you don't have to get up and be anywhere to stay in that place where you don't do anything. And so your hygiene goes, you lose track of days. All of those things are behaviors, depressive behavior, and they can become depression if you don't monitor and manage. So it's really important to make sure that you are keeping your routine, that you are getting yourself outside.
Mhm.
10 minutes of sunshine or 10 minutes of just breathing that fresh air help ground you. Some of the other things are making sure that you're having connections. So it's connections with friends and family. And a lot of people have said, oh, I can wait this out. I don't have to go to church. I don't have to go to my groups. And really what we're finding is the people who have stayed disconnected are doing far less,
Mhm.
far worse than the people who found a way. So find a way now. If your church is having, it online, go ahead and participate in that. If you haven't seen your friend, get together on a call and do that. For people like us who are on Zoom or on platforms all day long, we also have to remember to use this to interact socially with people that aren't worked men. We have to stay connected in ways that we haven't in the past. I'm also going to have to judge ourselves more carefully. A lot of people are judging themselves because they don't want to get out or because they do want to get out.
Mhm.
And having that negative talk with themselves isn't okay. Everybody has to make their best judgments for themselves
Mhm.
based on their own health, based on their medical professionals. It's important to be kind to yourself. And then certainly, if you do get stuck, it's reaching out for help from professionals like us and other people in the community that can help you navigate those feelings of dread and overwhelm and hopelessness. You don't want to get stuck with those. You don't want to suffer those by yourself. You want to get help.
Yeah. So those are great tips, and I'll tell you, April. I mean, I've fallen victim to the news. It's hard sometimes, right? So you're watching it, and you feel like if you tune away for a second, you might miss some bit of information. But I've learned, watching after a little bit, I say, okay, that's enough. You're right. I mean, it gets you to a point where it's like sometimes doom and gloom, which can be very depressing. So I've learned to turn it off, and getting out. I found for me personally, whether it's going for a walk or run, and getting sun. Getting some sunlight is important to me, and fresh air. That's been, I think, very helpful for me personally. So, thank you for those tips. When it comes to your particular services, right, for counseling, do you mind sharing with us specifically what you can do for some of your clients that may be in need of your services?
So we are an in-home mental health counseling company. We deal with emotional health. We deal with behavior issues. If you're having difficulty modifying your life now that you have a diagnosis, we help with that emotional aspect. We deal with chronic mental illness, and we deal with just any kind of mental health challenge. We work with patients directly and their families, their caregivers. And this is a Medicare covered service. We're able to provide this service through Medicare, paid the same way as other Medicare services, the 80/20, co-insurances, secondary insurances pay that. So this is Medicare covered service. And we come into private homes, assisted living, independent living, and long-term care beds. Right now, our primary mode of service is telehealth, but we are doing some in-person visits. And so we anticipate we'll continue to kind of have a hybrid model through what the health issues that we're having right now, moving back in home when it's safe for everybody to do that. We are able to work with caregivers who are struggling with a parent who has onset of dementia and needing to learn new ways to interact with them. We're able to work with people who are anxious or depressed or sad or have chronic grief, complicated grief. We are able to help work with families getting connected to psychiatrists to deal with med management or working with their primary care physicians. So we have a wide range of services that we can provide for families.
Okay, good. So that's good to know that Medicare will pay for the service. A lot of folks out there don't realize what Medicare will not cover. So knowing that this is covered, that's a great piece of information. Now, I would assume there'll be like a care plan involved, right? So when you do your first visit or communication, you create a care plan outlining their needs, and then as you share, you reach out to potential resources that may be needed on top of your service to coordinate. Is that pretty much
right? As social workers, and my team is all social workers, and so
okay?
what we do is we assess all needs. We look at the individual where they are, and if what they need is placement in an assisted living facility, or they need food stamps, or they need a new doctor, or they need help with housing, we will make referrals and connect them with resources in the community to access all of that. But we do create a treatment plan, and that treatment plan is based on the symptoms that they're experiencing, the mental health or the emotional stress, as well as any kind of family dynamics that they're working with, as well as community resources that they need.
Okay, excellent. So folks, we worked very closely with April here the last couple of years to do a great job for the clients that we refer over. Mental health, absolutely important, obviously beyond the physical piece. I'm going to post here April's information so you can contact her and her company directly. But April, do you mind sharing with us the best way to get a hold of you, maybe your website?
So we are counselingresourceservices.com. And our number is 407-654-4433. You can give us a call anytime. And I'm April at Counseling Resource Services. You can email me with any questions that you have.
Excellent. All right. So there you have it, folks. Great service. So hopefully everybody can benefit from that. If you have any questions, reach out to April. April, it was a pleasure having you today. I really enjoyed our conversation. Let's stay in touch, okay?
Thank you. Take care. Be safe.
All right. Be safe. Bye-bye.